and then the challenges to conformity. So we're going to look at conformity first, and challenges to conformity are your next set of notes. So the conformity is really based in this fear of communism. So everyone is afraid of communism. We remember that the second Red Scare begins. The first Red Scare was in the 1920s. This is that fear that communists will take over the US will become communist, and so we're really afraid of communists, that it's going to spread into the US. And the Red Scare is based in that, as is the conformity. Because everyone is afraid of the spread of communism, communism is different. And so if you're different, you might be communist. So you want to be seen as a good American, so you conform to society. You want to be what everyone else is. You want to look like everyone else. So we see all of these people here, they look the same, very similar. And we also see some instances where it looks a little different, where we're looking for those people who are different. One of those groups looking for people who are different is the HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee. This is a group from the House of Representatives that was created in 1938 who are actually searching for anyone who supports communist ideas. We need to keep America safe, and so we need to stop communism, and that's the goal of the HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee. So one of the groups that they start to look at is Hollywood. And in 1947, they have this group called the Hollywood 10. So what ends up happening is there are a number of Hollywood writers, directors, and actors who are called to testify that they are loyal to the US. So the HUAC calls these people in to have these hearings, and here you see some pictures of the hearings, and testify and say, yes, I am loyal to the US. Well, there are 10 of them that feel that this is a violation of their Fifth Amendment rights. Remember, their right to remain silent. And so they just refuse to answer any of the questions. So they're not really being charged with a crime. It's not the police asking them, it is the House of Representatives. So each of them is sentenced with between 6 months to a year in prison for contempt of Congress because they refused to answer the questions. These 10 men, the Hollywood 10, actually then end up being blacklisted in Hollywood. So Hollywood creates a list of people they will not work with. Studios do this, and the Hollywood 10 are on it, and anyone else who is suspected of being a communist is then blacklisted in Hollywood. So it's not only Hollywood that is facing this whole thing. We actually look at these fear of spies within the United States. Your neighbor could be a communist spy. And this fear is shown through two big cases that become the spy cases of this time. The first is Alger Hiss. He is a State Department employee. He works for the US government. He's accused of being a spy, of passing documents, classified documents, to the communists in 1948. He is put on trial, and he's not convicted of spying. He's actually convicted of perjury in 1950 and sent to jail. So the trial with Hiss, and here's a picture of Hiss, was kind of convoluted in that the original trial was not the trial of Hiss, it was someone else's trial, who then said Hiss was involved. Hiss denied involvement. They put him on trial. He was not convicted of spying, but he was convicted of perjury later on, which is lying under oath. And they said he lied in the trial of the other man, and that's why he ended up in prison. Our next case, they were convicted of spying, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. They were accused in 1950 of passing information about America's atomic bomb to Russia. So there was actually a British man who was on trial who was being accused of being a spy who gave up the Rosenbergs. So Klaus Fuchs gives up the Rosenbergs. He says that they were the spies. They are convicted of espionage. Fuchs gets 14 years in a British prison because he gave the Rosenbergs up. His sentence was less. The Rosenbergs were both sentenced to death, and they were executed in 1953. Now the Rosenbergs, it's a very interesting case. So here is Ethel and Julius Rosenberg. Julius Rosenberg, as we look back over evidence, there was very little at the time, but what we see is Julius Rosenberg probably was involved in some sort of spying and passing information on. His wife Ethel, really we don't think she was involved. So there's very little to tie her in. She just happened to get stuck in this whole Red Scare, get pulled in, and get accused of being a spy and was executed for it. So this really shows us this whole McCarthy era idea. From 1951 to 1954, during the Second Red Scare, there is this whole thing called McCarthyism, the McCarthy era. And it's named after Senator Joseph McCarthy, who claimed he had a list of 205 communists working within the US State Department. We have communists in the government. So really, what it turns out this whole thing was about is that, and here we have him giving his speech, McCarthy was supposed to give a speech and he didn't know what he was going to give it on, so he used this fear to push his speech. So he claimed to have these names. So everybody was afraid. We don't want the communists in the government. Let's get rid of them. And so we go searching for them. And the idea is that suspicion equals guilt. And if you are guilty of being a communist, there are consequences. Everyone would turn in their neighbors. Anything different would mean that you might be a communist. And so that really ties in to that whole fear and conformity. You want to be like everybody else so that we don't think you're a communist. Well, McCarthy eventually goes too far. He starts attacking people like George Marshall, the guy who created the Marshall Plan right after World War II. He begins attacking the military and military leaders. And so the Senate actually investigates these charges that McCarthy has been throwing around for 3 years. And it turns out all of his charges are made up. There is no evidence of these people being communists. And by the end of the hearings, he has lost even his most devout supporters because it comes out in these that he has been making this information up. So he's promoting his own career by hurting others. So McCarthyism, the Red Scare, search for communism really is a failure. And it should be because it was just a way of promoting his own career. So I've mentioned a little bit how communism caused conformity, but I'm going to go through that a little bit more clearly. So you're fearful of being different because being different means you're a communist. So you don't want to be different, you want to conform, you want to be like everyone else. We also have the radio still that created the national culture in the 20s, and television expands it into the 50s. So here I actually have a whole lot of things that show you wanted to live like Lucy. That's Lucy as in I love Lucy. Everybody has their TV the family looks at. We have ads and TV shows that show this. Father Knows Best, maybe you've seen that in reruns. Leave It to Beaver. Look, I even like this. How television benefits your children. Maybe some of you will try to use that on your parents. So we have all those things to look at. Our next set, Sears, JCPenney, those stores are out with their ads. Everybody come over for a Coke. Here's hospitality everyone understands. The best things in life come in cellophane. Here, I really like this one, and we should share this with Mr. Culhane. For a better start in life, start cola earlier. How soon is too soon? Not soon enough. So maybe he should be giving his daughter cola right now. So we really see all this advertising promoting a conformist society. So in addition to the media, the American highway system actually grows during this time, and it's going to add to conformity. The Federal Highway Act is passed in 1956 by Eisenhower, which creates a lot of new jobs, and also everybody can travel the country and explore their own country. You don't have to go to other parts of the world. So as we look at this, here's the federal highway system. You can drive from anywhere. I look at Denver, I-70, I-25. Those are part of the interstate highway system. This is why it's called Eisenhower Tunnel. So this makes a huge difference. You can now get to other parts of the country faster. And so highways end up equaling sprawl. So it's easier for goods to travel, it's easier for people to travel. Everyone gets the same products available to them. That means more conformity. High employment, good economy, and more babies with the baby boom increases consumerism, that idea that you buy goods that you want, not that you need. There are a lot of similarities between the 1950s and the 1920s you should be seeing, at least as far as society goes. And this means many new products come out. Automobiles, washing machines are advanced, dishwashers, even things like cake mix and TV dinners. So if we go back to one of our earlier slides, there's our TV dinners. You eat those in front of the TV because more TV is good TV. TV is good for you. We get advertising, billboards next to the highways. More cars equals change. Society becomes mobile. Fast food becomes popular, including car hops and things like that. McDonald's comes out in the 1950s. Look at the old Dunkin' Donuts. Down here we have the car hop, a girl on skates who brings the food to your car. How about this McDonald's? Definitely an old one. We also add drive-in movies, drag racing. You've seen Grease, you know about that. But what about the drive-in movies? So people would use their cars to do everything. And people started moving away from the cities. As you move away from the center of the cities, we get suburbs that pop up. The first of these are called Levitt towns. They are very organized in pre-planned manner. See, so here's Levitt, a Levitt town from above, right here. Very organized, all of the houses, manicured lawns, everything looks very similar. Here is 1957 Levitt town advertisement. You can pick from a specific amount of houses. It makes everybody, your house looks the same, you act the same, very much about appearances in the 1950s. So even as conformity is encouraged, there are others that push against it. So these are outcasts from society, they challenge conformity, and they're seen as a threat to the American way of life. We're going to talk about that in our next section, but make sure you use your study guide and get all the information about conformity, and we'll add challenges of conformity next time.